Welcome to another episode of Live with Perry Martins. My name is Perry Martins. On the show, we share about life, love, business, and God. We talk about everything that will make you a better person. And basically, I share from my personal life experiences and that of many of my friends who I've seen succeed and become better people. Today, I'm talking about increasing your value to increase your worth. Increasing your value to increase your worth. Now, the truth is this: many of us, life dealt us a lower hand or a bad hand or a negative hand, right? Some of us, not all of us. Many of us. I am speaking to a particular demography, people who are from Africa or third world or probably anywhere, probably didn't have an advantaged background. Maybe your parents were not rich. So because of that, you probably didn't go to school or you didn't have an amazing education. You didn't go to an Ivy League or probably you didn't even go to, a proper school entirely, So, and then maybe things just didn't turn out for you. You are in your maybe 20s, 30s. You don't know exactly where your life is headed to. So basically, your worth is nothing to write home about. Right? Your worth is nothing to write home about. So when I'm talking about your worth, I'm talking about how much money is in your bank account or how much value you carry, how much you are worth right now. So value could be money, it could be education, because education is value. Education is worth. Education means that you have an opportunity to do things better. You have an edge, an advantage. We live in a world that thrives a lot on education. An educated person has an advantage. Education is big, is wide. It could be formal, it could be informal education. But what education does is that it gives you an edge over the next person. Imagine someone that can't communicate effectively in any official business language at all. There are different official business languages. There are different business languages around the world, right? So it's not only English. There are actually several, any strong economy, their language becomes a business language. For example, if you are a global business person, you should learn how to speak English. You should learn how to speak Arabic. You should learn how to speak Chinese, right? You should learn how to speak French, Latin. You should have, because these are the languages of global economies. Because of that, if you know how to speak some of these languages, you'll be able to make headway or find something that suits, your unique set of talents anywhere around the world, right? So our topic is increasing your value by increasing your worth. Increasing your value by increasing your worth. Now, right now, maybe your value is not really amounting to anything. The sum total of what you are worth might not really be anything to write home about. Like I said earlier, it could be you don't have a great education, or you don't have an opportunity. You don't have, you're not from a privileged background, so you don't have like an uncle or a father, because all of these things amount to worth. Some of us, what we are worth comes from what our parents were worth. So the value that our parents had translated to us. If you come from a rich home, there's a high probability that you will be rich because you already have rich parents who would endow you with some richness, and someone will call you a trust fund kid, but it doesn't matter, right? I was scrolling through social media today and I saw where Kidwire is someone in the son of a very popular, wealthy Nigerian. He said, if your father did not hustle like my father hustled, don't envy me. I think it's something like that. So basically he's saying because his father had worked hard, he is living a different type of life, and you shouldn't envy him if your dad didn't do as much work as his dad did. And it makes a lot of sense, even though it's some people will find that statement denigrating, the hard work of other people. But then again, he's making some sense, right? So there are some values. There are values that are bequeathed to us by parents. Then there are values that are bequeathed to you by education. Education bequeaths to you a certain type of value. For example, you have a BSc, an MSc in something. Its value, it means that you are employable. Someone can employ you. But we also live in a world where certain areas of education or certain area of education has become obsolete. For example, you go to school and you have a master's in typewriting. Hello? I don't know who is going to employ you because nobody uses the typewriter anymore, right? Or the curriculum that you have from your country is still maybe like 20, 30, 50 years backwards. You're going to find it difficult to get jobs. But that doesn't change the fact that education allocates to you a certain value. Now, that is formal. Informal education also, assigns to you a different set of value. Maybe you learned a trade, right, with a master, or with an oga, like we say it in the African parlance. You learned a trade, you learned how to trade something, or you learned how to do business, right? That is value, And at the end of that period, what happens in the Igbo culture is that your boss will settle you. Settle you means he will give you a certain amount of resources, money and goods, stuff to set you up to begin your own business. So that's value. So there are different values that are assigned to us from where we're coming from, right? All of these things give you a certain sense of worth. They give you a certain sense of what? Education, your parents, your work or service, your job, So all of these things give you a certain type of worth. But there are other people who didn't have the opportunity to have received value from either of these opportunities. People who had very poor parenthood or who didn't have a culture of Eba boy, right? Or the apprenticeship, like we call it, apprenticeship. I used Eba boy is in my mother tongue, so forgive me if you don't understand what that means, but it simply means apprenticeship, where you serve a master and the master sets you up after you have served them for a considerable number of years, right? Now, when you are in a situation where you don't have a lot of value, you are not worth much. There is no money coming into your account or into your life for values, because you actually trade value for money. Value is what is traded for money. Is the value that you have that you trade to get money. You know how to speak. You speak somewhere, people pay you. You know how to plait hair or make people's hair. They pay you for the value. You know how to write. You know how to code. You are inquisitive, intelligent. You are a business developer. People pay for the value you bring to their table or to their establishment or to their life. Now, the question is, how do I increase my value so that I can increase my worth? Because you are worth what your value is. You are worth what the value you're bringing. The amount of value you're bringing to the table determines your worth. And when we're talking about worth now, we're talking about financial worth, monetary worth, right? Talking about worth, around the world, a developer might be paid $100,000 a year, right? $100,000 a year or $120,000 a year. So that's approximately $10,000 per month. That is also what is paid managers, in regular businesses, right? Different people receive different type of payments or remuneration because of the amount of work that comes. So the question is, how can you increase your worth? If you are in a situation right now where you are not worth much, how can you increase your worth? I give you one secret, and I keep saying it over and over again. The world has evolved. The world has moved. Right now, you can learn and acquire knowledge from the comfort of your house. You can learn and acquire knowledge from the comfort of your house, from the comfort of your street, from wherever you are, because the world has gone global. Everything is on the internet. So to increase your worth, you have to increase your value. How do I increase my value? By learning, by acquiring knowledge, looking for relevant knowledge, acquire the knowledge and try to sell that value. Sorry, I'm walking down the road. You guys know how I normally do. I'm always walking down the road when I do my podcast, because that's where I think. Your value can be increased by knowledge, by learning, by education, right? And the beautiful thing about the world we are living in right now is that it don't matter how old or how young you are, as long as you can bring that value to the table, people will pay you for it. So the question is, if your value is low right now, what are you doing to increase your value? The only reason why you are not making money or you don't have money in your life right now is because you are not bringing any value to anybody. You are not bringing any value to anybody. You are not selling any value to anybody. So the question is, what value potential do you have? When I mean value potential, what is the potential, the talent, or the places of interest? They are called value potential. What is my value potential? Then how do I increase the value that I carry? Now, the value of a thing is actually perceived. It's perceived. So that the perception you give people about your value is what they will pay you. I use this example always. Two people sell food in a restaurant. One is McDonald's, one is Mama Nkechi in my neighborhood in Lagos. When I mean Mama Nkechi, I mean small kiosk, what we call Iyabasira in Nigeria. I'm trying to get a word, roadside restaurants, So these two people, they are selling the same type of value, which is satisfying hunger. One person is McDonald's with a franchise all over the world with state-of-the-art restaurants. The other person has a small roadside kiosk near my neighborhood back in Nigeria. The difference between these two people is one of them understood perception and took it to the next level. Now, guess what? Mama Nkechi can take her brand. When you now begin to see what you do as a brand that needs to be built and protected, Mama Nkechi can take her brand, turn it around, give it the perception that will make it to be worth more, and make it a global franchise. Why? Because there are Nigerians and Africans all over the world who would savor to just enjoy that roadside home-cooked food. Despite the fact that there is McDonald's and there is Mr. Biggs, and there is all the other food franchises all around the world, including the A-list restaurants that are in the buildings of 4 Points and Elements and all the Marriott Bonvoy hotels. Despite the fact that those places exist, there are people around the world who would want to savor that African street food. You know, if only Mama Nkechi can think outside the box to increase the value of her worth and attract investors to invest in her business such that she can expand her business to the end that it becomes a franchise. What am I saying to you this evening? You can increase the net worth of yourself, your business, by increasing the quality, the perception of the value you bring. And education is a good way to do it. I keep using this as an example. A particular man in a particular year, not too long ago in Nigeria, designed a logo for the Nigerian government for 100 million naira. I'll not mention his name. So that a particular man designed, it was a campaign called Rebranding Nigeria. And he gave all sorts of ideas and concepts and did a logo. That logo and everything they did was worth 100 million. Guess what? Some small young man on the streets of Lagos who runs a small design and branding company will do it for way less. Way less. Like way less. Like 50,000, 100,000 less. Right? I mean, but the truth is, this big consulting company that did this branding, it was all perception. Plus, yes, they brought certain level of value to the table that made it to be worth that amount. They brought a lot of value to the table. And that is what I'm talking about to you today. You can change the perception that people have about you by increasing the worth of your value. By going to learn and know how to do it better and do it right. By taking into consideration the nitty-gritties that makes you different from the other people, by understanding your uniqueness and sell it, by repackaging and repurposing yourself and your business and your brand such that people begin to see it differently. Because it's all about perception. 2 people stepped out of their house. One was well dressed, looking good, but he didn't have up to $1,000 in his account. The other person wasn't entirely dressed properly, was just dressed in rags, not necessarily rags, but cheap clothes. But he had $1 million in his account. The truth is, both persons, when they step out, you are going to consider the person that is dressed better, and you will ignore the person that isn't dressing, gorgeous or amazing, because of perception. People judge with the eyes first. What am I saying to you this evening? To increase your value, you have to increase your worth. You have to increase your value, the value you're bringing. Now, to make that value what it ought to be, you have to change the perception around your value. You have to change the perception around your value. You have to increase your value by learning and then change the perception. That is what I want to share with you this evening. I've given you a lot of examples. Thank you for listening to me always. I really appreciate it. You can follow me on social media. If you think that I'm giving you value, follow me on social media platforms. Let us grow together. Thank you and have an amazing day. Bye.